fell on my knees. Let me tell you, your breakthrough, I know this sounds crazy, but read any book by somebody extraordinary and exceptional. Their breakthrough happens on the bathroom floor, on their knees. That's where it is, where you go, and this was me, God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, universe, all that is, whatever it is for you. I don't know what to do. Guide me. Tell me what to do. And ask, and you shall receive.
Hello and welcome to the Real Success Show. If you're asking yourself, how do I get into energetic alignment with the person I'm supposed to be with, or you've gone under severe traumas and you want to know how to move forward, then today's guest, Transformational Facilitator Susana Kennedy, is the guest for you. Before we jump into it, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And before we get into this interview, we do cover very heavy themes of a sexual nature, so please be aware that there is a slight trigger warning. Now, without further ado, here's Susana Kennedy. Susana Kennedy, thank you so much for being on the Real Success Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Candice. It's always great to chat to you.
No, you are incredible. And I know what you do, but for people out there who may not have encountered your work, how do you describe yourself?
It's always such a mouthful, Candice, because I do so many things, but I think I've kind of simplified it down to a transformational facilitator. I've always had this calling to be a conduit for miracles, to assist as many people as possible to experience miracles in their lives. And that's because I really believe that miracles are happening all the time. And so many of us are unaware of them. And once we become aware of them and we become aware of how to use the universe's energy and play with it and co-create with it, we can start creating miracles for ourselves as well. And I know that so many people are struggling. Life is hard, Candice. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Like, you know, shit happens in this world and life is tough and challenging, but we do have a choice. We don't need to suffer. The way in which we look at those challenges, the way in which we address those challenges, the way in which we reframe those challenges can assist us to lead a life that has challenges, but is also filled with joy and faith and happiness and more ease. So removing that suffering and bringing in that ease. And then also just to live your best life, like really love who you are. You know, one of my favorite feedbacks that I've ever gotten from a client was she said to me, I used to be happy for other people. Now I'm happy for myself. Like truly, authentically loving yourself, loving your life, the life that you've created for yourself. It's been my biggest challenge. And so you always teach what you learn because that's what you study the most, right? And so I want to help as many people as possible really be happy for themselves and love their lives and be proud of who they are in this world. So does that answer your question?
Oh my gosh, yes, and so much more. I love it. And you said a conduit for miracles, and I love that. And Susana, I know that you've had quite a journey to get to this point where you are teaching this book, right? You weren't born and then you were like, you know what? At 18, I'm going to be a conduit for miracles. I'm going to teach people how this life thing works, right? So you started in the media industry. You had your challenges, your obstacles, you know, you went through a really personally traumatic experience, and then you came out on the other side and started teaching. Do you want to share that journey with us?
Sure. I mean, it's quite crazy because I've been rereading a lot of stories of the women that I admire like so much, like Gabrielle Bernstein. I mean, I know you know her and you've spoken to her before. She's phenomenal. Like what an amazing woman. Glennon Doyle, you know, Brandon Bays, these amazing women. And what I realized is we all have our stories. And so when I tell my story, I really am telling it to you, not to kind of go, I've been through so much. But for you to understand that if I've been through so much and I can come out the other side and be a grounded, full human being, because it's no longer about this toxic positivity of being happy all the time and having this forced impression of that, but being a grounded, real human being that does feel joy and feels sadness and lives a life that is full. That's the thing that I really want people to understand. So I did start in the TV and film industry, if I can put it that way. It's true. I used to direct and I used to act. I used to be a little celebrity, and it was great. I loved it because I've always been passionate about stories and about connecting people. So for me, that was the core of it. I know that when you watch a film or you read a book, it can dramatically change your perception of the world. And I love that. I absolutely love it. And I think it's the most effective way of shifting people is through stories, or one of the most effective ways. And so I loved it. I loved what I did. And I went on to producing feature films, and I thought I was living the dream. I thought I was like, I was literally at every party and at events, dressed by designers, walking the red carpet, like swing, but the reality was that my elastic was at snapping point, and I didn't understand why. So I would react to things all the time. And I'm sure that a lot of the people listening to this now can relate to that, is when you've pushed things so far down that on the surface, you feel like you're totally fine and things are amazing, but you're snapping at things. You've got no patience. Your road rage is at an all-time high, those kind of things. And I realized that something was very, very wrong. And when I was producing a film, I was working with a producer that just was, oh my gosh, he was just poking me in all the wrong places that made me, like, literally my blood boil. You've heard that saying, your blood boils. This was my blood boiled. I literally fevered from the way that this producer made me feel, the interactions with him. And the reality is the universe wants you to heal. So he was a gift. The universe literally sent him to me like a gift. It's like when you get a splinter in your toe and you bump that toe into every wall, into frickin' every door. It just like finds that toe because the universe is going, hi, excuse me, you got a splinter in your toe. Hi, sorry, there's a splinter in your toe. Can you get that splinter out your toe? And you're going, no, I'm fine. I'll put a plaster over that splinter. And the universe is going, but sorry, you've got to get the splinter out because there's a splinter in your toe. And eventually, because you're not listening to the fact that you've got a splinter in your frickin' toe, and you're not being brave enough to just deal with the splinter becomes septic and becomes pussy because your body is going, hey, the universe has been telling you need to get rid of this. And now I'm telling you, you need to get rid of this. I can't hold it for you. And this is where disease creeps in. Disease of the mind, disease of the body, disease of the heart, disease of the spirit, and they are all linked. Your universe that is around you, the universe, your body are all linked, and they are always in alignment with your highest projection of your happiest, healthiest, most brilliant expression of yourself. But if you keep denying that there's a splinter in there, it's going to end up festering. And that's exactly what happened to me. So this interaction with this man, I mean, I got sick. I got physically ill, and doctors could not figure out what was wrong with me. And I got misdiagnosis until eventually I was put on the wrong medicine. It was schedule 7 and 5 painkillers. And now for a homeopathic baby who didn't take anything. If I took a microdol, it would knock me out for 10 hours, like quite literally one microdol. That's how clean my body was. And now all of a sudden I was trying to function on schedule 7 and schedule 5 painkillers. And the problem was I was in pain. I had pain everywhere in my body. They thought it was fibromyalgia at one point. They thought it was rheumatoid arthritis at one point. But every single joint, every muscle, every nerve ending was on fire. I was just in so much pain. And I had this brain fog that just wasn't allowing me to function. And I don't know how many of you are recovering perfectionists out there, but I am, so you're not alone. But I was a recovering perfectionist, and I also was I am a recovering now, people pleaser. But I felt like my value lay in what I could deliver to the world, what I could give. And now all of a sudden I couldn't give. It's a long story, so I'm not going to take the whole time now, but I was in such a dark, dark place. And then coupled with this medication that literally took me out of my mind. It was the wrong medication. One day, my parents left. They realized that something was very wrong and they came to visit me and they left. And I was trying to keep it all together. And as they walked out the door, I crumbled onto the floor and I just started crying. You know, when you cry and you can't even breathe, there's no breath. It's just like that deep soul crying. And they walked back in and I didn't hear them walk back in. And I'll just never, ever forget that moment because I looked up and I was helpless and I couldn't do anything and they couldn't do anything. And I was in such a dark space that I thought it would be best to just actually remove myself from this world. And so I plotted taking my life, and that's how dark it was. And in that plotting, I saw that the medication that I'd taken caused suicidal tendencies if you were suffering from depression, which of course I was because I couldn't function. And a doctor had prescribed that to me. And I tried to overdose on that medicine, but I was so out of my mind, I couldn't link the two. And that was actually, I somehow survived it. And that's another story. But when I came out of that was my first moment of surrender. It was the first time I kind of went, I don't know anymore. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. I can't feel like this anymore. But I clearly can't even kill myself. I can't even get that right now. So I don't know what to do. I surrender. I am in your hands. And that was the first actual step towards my healing. And that led me on an incredible healing journey, which took me really far up and then crashing down again because I was doing shadow work as within, so without. And the moment I realized that although I'd been sexually abused as a young girl, although I had been raped at 16 and then again at 29, although all this abuse had happened to me, nobody had abused me as much as I had abused myself, because I was with me 24/7 and I was constantly not good enough, not pretty enough, not funny enough, not smart enough, not kind enough, not doing enough of value. And I wonder how many people listening can understand that and resonate with that. I was just daily doing this. And in that moment, my body and myself split. And my body said, I'm not letting you do this to me anymore. And within 3 months, I was in ICU. And I had been in a wheelchair. 2 months later, I was in a wheelchair. And I couldn't walk. I was having near organ failure in every single one of my organs except my heart. My lungs had liquid in them. I was having brain seizures, and doctors did not think that I was going to make it. But my second moment of healing had kicked in, that moment that I realized what I was doing to myself. I made a promise to love myself, to learn to love myself. And then another moment of surrender later, again, God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, universe, I know I've stuffed up. I don't know if you can relate to that when you know, like, I know I've stuffed up. I know, I get it. But I really want to live. Like, I really feel like there's so much more I still want to do here. But if it's my time to go, I accept that. And from that moment, I did my best and I surrendered to the outcome. It was so hard watching my family and support system suffer through that period of me almost dying. But I didn't suffer anymore. I'd come into a place of just knowing that whatever was meant for me was going to happen. And the doctors, as an emergency, gave me chemo to shut down my very overactive immune system. And they said, if the chemo didn't kill me, and if it worked, because there was a very high chance that it would kill me because my body was so fragile, it would take between 18 and 24 months to get me into remission. And then I would have to manage this for the rest of my life. I got into full remission in 5 months. And I am healthy. And yes, I've had challenges since then. I'm not like free of challenges. And yes, I've digressed at certain times and I've progressed again in certain areas. But that journey of healing led me to, well, working with Robin Banks, one of my mentors and brilliant friend, who kept throwing me on stage and saying, you're a teacher, you're a speaker, this is what you're meant to do. And working with greats like Brian Welsh and Dr. John DeMartini and Elizabeth Walker and Kate Gray and all of these wonderful, wonderful people, Brandon Bays, you know, who has such a similar journey actually of healing. And now I take people on healing journeys so that if they are suffering from dis-ease of the mind, body, heart, or spirit, that they can shift to a space of less suffering and more ease. And so that's what I do now. That's why I call it a transformational facilitator, because I literally facilitate. What is meant for you will always find you. When the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. And all I do is support that transformation, because we truly heal ourselves. It's about us tapping into that right space. And very often we need those guides, those supports, and it comes in all different forms: a book you read, film you watch, a conversation you have, or a conversation you listen to. These are all the miracles that lead us onto our path of healing. But we have to be open. We have to be open to healing and to learning and to getting on that path. So that was long, but I hope that kind of answered the question. I'm also the founder and CEO of Thrive Network that connects people to these people that I've worked with, because I want everyone to have the same chance that I had, and to have the support structures that I brought into my life as well.
Oh, that is such a big and powerful, firstly, testimony, I'd say, and also a reflection of how our mind impacts our body and vice versa. I think we live our lives in a way that we think the two are so disconnected, right? Even if I'm stressed, even if I'm this, it won't impact my body if I'm working out. And we've seen that younger people are getting heart attacks, younger people are being hospitalized, right? And so right now, as I was listening to your story, I was thinking of all the people that are sitting at home and they're looking at you, Susana, and they're like, you know, gee, Susana's so much stronger than I am. Susana's over there, you know, she had access to teachers. She's, you know, that you versus me kind of thing. And they are saying, I don't even know where to start. Like, where do I begin my journey of accepting that I know that my body and mind are really destroying me or killing me, whatever it may be for people? What is the first step people should be looking at taking if they want to start transforming their lives?
Well, I think, Candice, like that's why I started it with, I'm no different from anyone else, because, and that's why I ended with, when the student is ready, the master shall appear. If you literally right now, you don't have to do anything else besides literally say, I'm ready. I'm ready and I am willing. Universe, show me the way. And I promise you that that guidance will appear. Do you know how I got in contact with Robin? Have you heard that story, Candice?
No, please share it.
I had a radio show in 2013, and I was very lucky because it was the first international summit. Like Real Success has all these summits. It was the first international summit to happen in South Africa, and I was very lucky to be one of the first people to interview a lot of those speakers that came here that year, including John DeMartini, Robin Banks, who was the only local South African that was speaking at the summit. JT Fox was I was his first interview in South Africa. You know, like all of the Peter Sage, I interviewed Peter Sage back then. In fact, I haven't spoken to Peter since then, but I did interview him back then. Richard Branson spoke at that summit, and nobody knew that I was sick at the time because I was taking huge doses of cortisone. I would have to, the day I interviewed John DeMartini, I woke up 6 hours before our interview to take medication on the hour to be able to move, to be able to physically move to get to the interview I was doing with him. Walking to the interview was so painful that I cried all my makeup off and had to quickly redo my makeup before I approached John and sat with him to do the interview. And when I finished the interview with him, I couldn't get up to shake his hand. I had to go like this. Thank you so much, John, for your time. I really appreciate it. And then he walked away, and then I just cried again. So that's the kind of pain I was actually in at the time, and nobody knew. I just was covering it all up, bandage, bandage, bandage. But Robin was one of the people I interviewed. And Robin is, I can't call him my soul sister because he's a boy, but he's like my soul sister. Do you know what I mean? He's my soul brother. He is, I have a deep soul connection to Robin, and he is one of my best friends and favorite people on this planet. And right away we had that's kind of knowing, you know, when you recognize another soul. And he said to me, he said, Susana, have you been to one of my talks? I said, no. And he said, please come, you'll be my VIP guest. I was like, absolutely. But then he didn't realize I got so sick after that. And a year and a half, almost 2 years later, when I had finished chemo and I was now trying to find something to do, because my doctors were like, no more producing films, no more high stress anything. You have to do something chilled, you know? So I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. So I was trying all these different things and nothing was working. And so then I surrendered. I fell on my knees. Let me tell you, your breakthrough, I know this sounds crazy, but read any book by somebody extraordinary and exceptional. Their breakthrough happens on the bathroom floor, on their knees. That's where it is, where you go, and this was me, God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, universe, all that is, whatever it is for you. I don't know what to do. Guide me. Tell me what to do. And ask and you shall receive, without exception, 100% of the time. It's up to you to accept the invitation. It's up to you to see that miracle, because that's what it is, and go, yes, I'll take it. Thank you. And that is one of the biggest, if I leave you guys with nothing, please, this is one of the biggest lessons of my life, because 2 days later, I was walking to Woolworths in Sea Point. Robin lived in Joburg, and he does have a house in Sea Point, but he didn't come that often. And there he was, and bumped into him in Woolworths. And I was like, Robin Banks. And he went, hi. And he pretended he knew who I was, but he didn't recognize me, because the last time we had met, I had hair literally down to here. I had now had chemo, and so I'd shaved my head. So my hair was only like this long, you know, on my head. So it took him a few minutes, and then he was like, oh my God, Susana, where have you been? You said you were going to come to one of my talks. Why didn't you? And I said, oh, kind of almost died, but that's a story for another time. And he said, oh, wow, would you like to come tomorrow night? Winter in Cape Town. Candice, you know. Us little Cape Townians, winter in Cape Town, we don't do anything. We stay at home. It's cold. You don't go outside. But the opportunity, the universe had gone here, you asked for something, here it is. It was my choice to go, yes, I'll take it. Yes, I will be there. And I was there. And then Robin, and I sat in that room. And if any of you have heard Robin speak, you know, it was palpable. The change in people was palpable. You could feel it happening. And I was like, this is why I'm here, to support this, to help this reach more people. So afterwards, I said, Robin, thank you so much. I'm going home. I'll speak to you later. He said, okay. And I went home and I sent him a message on the way home. I said, can we meet for coffee tomorrow? When are you leaving? And he said, I'm leaving at lunchtime. I said, can we meet for breakfast, just for a quick coffee? And he said, yes. So I said, great. I was up for hours trying to find things on Robin online. His website was a mess. His branding was a mess. Everything was a mess. And I was like, yes, I can help him. So I went to coffee the next day and I said, Robin, I said, I love you. Your work is phenomenal, but your branding is a mess. Your online presence is a mess. You don't have any digital offerings. I said, you need to reach millions of people. I said, I have produced feature films. I can help you do this. And he said, great, I've been looking for you. I asked the universe for you to come. And that's how Robin and I started working together. And we co-created Sustaining the Magic, the product that everybody uses when they do Robin's courses. Robin and I co-created that. And it was wonderful. I helped him create affirmation CDs, visualizations, all these things. But it was Robin who said, but you're a teacher, you're a speaker. Like, you need to be doing this. So he was the one who kept throwing me on stage. And he had never done webinars. I got Robin to do webinars. Now he does them like this, like they're nothing, you know? But I took the invitation, Candice. I asked. And then when the universe said, here, I went, thank you very much. I'll take that and I'll use it. That's the first step for me.
That is so powerful. Like, this feels very much like a masterclass. And the reason I say that is because you touch on all the major themes of what it takes to live a successful life. Number one, surrender. You have to be willing to surrender. Surrender your ego, surrender what you think you know, surrender what you think you want, and allow what is to be to come into your consciousness. And then the next thing, which I want to really just talk about a little bit more, was you decided at that moment, you left the, talk with Robin, and you went home and you had this inspired thought, at least that's what I like to call it, and you acted on that thought. What in you formed that impetus to want to take the action? Because a lot of people will have inspired thoughts, but the fear that creeps in before acting on that thought is what cripples them, and they never act, and therefore their lives never become miraculous. So what was that feeling inside of you, or what was that thing that you knew, I have to act on this?
The thing is, the headspace, and I haven't always been in that headspace to now, and so maybe there's a better way of answering it now, but at that point I had surrendered to such an extent that I was like, I know this is my chance. If I'm ever going to do something of value, if I'm ever going to and I think this is the answer anyway, everybody that is successful has failed. Everyone has failed. It is scary. I mean, you'll hear Robin speak about it in Sustaining the Magic. Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is doing the right thing despite the fear. And that goes both ways. That goes to taking an invitation that requires you putting on your big girl frickin' panties or your big boy underpants and taking action. And it also goes the other way, where somebody is pushing your boundaries and asking you to do something that is not in alignment with you, and you standing your ground and saying, no, thank you, that's not for me. Both are courageous, but the courage comes from being true to yourself, and you always know. You always, without a doubt, know. Because if you really tap into your center, and the more you practice it, the louder that voice becomes and the easier it becomes to follow that. But it's not easy in the beginning, guys. It's not easy. I get it. There's no judgment here, because I am you and you are me, and we all in this together. In the beginning, and it comes in waves, and the scarier it is, but recognize, is it scary because I'm scared of failure? The worst thing you can do in life, the worst thing you can do in life is lie on your bed at 90 and go, I didn't do that. I didn't even try. That's the worst thing. Looking back at the life you should have lived versus lying there and going, I tried. It didn't work here. It worked there. Didn't work here. It worked there, but I tried. I don't have regrets. I didn't not try. That's all you're going to end up with is like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, frick, my heart aches. I don't know if I'm allowed to like swear on this show or not. It hurt me. Oh, I grew. I expanded. I'm going to do better. That's all that can happen. You can't die. It's not going to kill you to like try. It's not going to do that. But not trying will kill you. It'll kill you slowly. Little by little, it's going to chip away at you. My invitation is put on your frickin' big girl panties and your big boy underpants next time and tune in and go, okay, this is so scary. What if I fall? What if you frickin' fly? What if it's the best thing that ever happened to you? And what if doing it leads to something better than you could have even imagined at that point? What if?
So beautiful. And it actually brings me to a conversation you and I had at the end of last year, which I want to round back to. And it is basically, what I found that, when one part of our life is incongruent, it tends to affect the rest of our lives, right? It is just, we have to be aligned in order for other parts of our life to be aligned. And a lot of people, whether it's, we can blame it on the past 2 years and the isolation they've experienced, or whatever it may be, more people than ever are reaching out to me, Susana, and saying, Candice, I'm lonely. It's not about the money. It's not about the assets. It's not about building the biggest brand in the world anymore. I want someone to do life with. And I found that so fascinating because your big passion and my big passion, oh my goodness, I love love. And you love love. That's what really connects us. I'm a lover of love. So Susana, I want to discuss the story you spoke about at our masterclass, and you were describing a friend of yours finding love and you finding love. Do you want to share that with us?
So, I mean, yeah, you guys should totally watch that masterclass. And I say that with all humility, but just because it's such a freaking good love story. And it's not my love story, it's my friend's love story. But I am. It's all about love. Candice, at the end of the day, no matter what happens in life, we all want to be loved. We all want to be seen and heard and valued and connected. That is the greatest human need, And so to live a life void of love, void of that connection is just like, for me, it's the most heart-wrenching thing. And I think, Candice, you and I even spoke about the fact that I think this is going to be my year of, because I've been running my course now for a year and a half, the healing course, Kinsta Koroi Me, taking you from fractured to fabulous, putting yourself back together with love, compassion, and courage. And that goes back to your point there. But I think I am going to start another course on how to become the queen bee, and just attract all the honey that you want to you in this world. And the thing that really struck me about that story and why I loved it so much was that, and you guys can watch it and you'll see all the principles there, but it really gave me, as a teacher of this stuff, as a teacher of manifestation, as a teacher of getting into alignment, mind, body, heart, and spirit with what you actually want, so that it can present itself, because it's already there. If you desire it, it already exists. It's just about you becoming in a vibrational match so that it can appear in your reality, right? So that story of my friend just so aptly put the examples of the steps that you need to take in order to become a vibrational match for that thing that you want. And first of all, it's the desire, right? So you want to desire, you have a desire, and it's beautiful, but it seems out of reach. And it's that breaking point. She got to that breaking point of like, no, it's just never going to happen. And then something or someone or yourself going, rubbish, pull yourself together. This is not the way things are going to happen. What do you want? Clarifying, what do you want? What is it that you actually want? And then clarifying it, and then handing it over to the universe. Here you go. Here, universe. This is what I want. And releasing without attachment to the outcome. And then being open to receiving it. We all want love. And the only thing, I believe, in my experience, in my humble experience, that is stopping us from receiving the love that we want is our belief somewhere in our mind, somewhere in our heart, somewhere in our body, somewhere in our spirit, that we are unworthy of receiving that love. That love will fall apart because they'll realize that we're not worthy, that love will not sustain itself, because on some level we are not worthy of receiving that love and holding that love. And so the self-love journey for me is the most important love journey that you can go on, because there's this, and I think I said it in my talk with you, Candice, but there's this misunderstanding that people have. Nobody will love you until you love yourself. How many people have heard that? And it drives me mad when I hear that, because I'm like, that's such a load of crap. I know lots of beautiful individuals that do not love themselves, that are loved fiercely by their family and their friends and people around them. The problem is, and I know this to be true because I was that girl, I was even married, and I could not feel his love because I didn't love myself. And so I would self-sabotage, I would deflect, I would shift things away because I didn't know how to receive that love. And I didn't think I was worthy of receiving that love. And so if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling like you're desperate to create a relationship with someone, create the relationship with yourself, heal yourself, love yourself, and you will become the vibrational match to that person that already exists, but cannot see you, can't feel. The vibrations are here and yours are down here. So they're missing each other. So you got to go here so that you can, and literally like that, it will happen. Literally like that. It's that quick. I know when I brought this one, my human, into being, it was literally like that. I wrote it, arrived, and there he was. Same day, 3 hours, done. But it had been all the work I'd been doing before. So I do a lot of this work with one-on-one clients. And because it's simple, it's easy, but not some, it's simple, but not easy, right, Candice? And this is one of the things that we have to also just be honest about. Nothing's going to change unless you change. Nothing's going to change unless you do the work. My students that excel are my students that do the work. My students that progress a bit are the ones that don't do the work, because once you've heard something, you are forever changed. You cannot not be changed by things you hear. But once you implement it, once you hear it, you implement it and you live it, there's the miracle. Bam, like that, you know?
Susana, everything. You know what I want to really touch on is the openness. So, there's so many times in life, whether it's in relationships, jobs, whatever facet of our life it is, that we'll want something. We'll even work hard at it. We're so comfortable in the suffering to get it, right? It's like, I will work those 20-hour shifts. I will do this. I will do that. However, when the thing we're actually working towards or the thing we want actually arrives, we are not actually comfortable with that thing, right? We were comfortable trying to get it, but then it's here and it's like, what do I do with this? Do I feed it? Do I throw it back? I don't know what to do. So with people who struggle with that, with the receptivity of getting what it is they want, what can they do to adjust their mindset in order to start vibrating at the level to meet and accept that thing?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a really interesting question, because you're 100% right. That's part of what I was talking about, the self-sabotage, right? So you've asked for something and then it arrives and then it's like, how did you get here? Like, I wasn't expecting you. And the universe is like, but sorry, you ordered that. I just delivered what you ordered. And you were like, yeah, but oh my God, that was quick. Like, what do I do? And I mean, we've done this. Candice, you've done this. All of us manifestors have done this over and over again, right? So it's about, again, like putting on your big girl panties and doing your best and surrendering to the outcome, like not being attached to the outcome, because there are moments where you will go, but I'm scared, and have those conversations with yourself. So you've called this thing into being, and now it's like, oh my gosh, it's here. I'm scared. What do I do with this? And literally speaking to yourself as your highest self, giving yourself the right words that you would give your best friend, the person you love most in the world. What would you tell somebody that you love the most in the whole world? What would be the advice that you would give them? Give that to yourself and follow it. That would be my thing.
I actually really love that answer. And the reason I love that answer is because I'm a huge believer that all the wisdom we need in order to live the life we're here to live is already within us. Teachers can only activate it. The wisest people in the world can only show you a roadmap, but each individual's actually got everything they need already within here. So when you're talking about accessing that higher self, I think when we're still long enough, we can actually start telling ourselves exactly what it is that we need to hear, but most importantly, exactly where it is we need to go. And Susana, there's something I've encountered time and time again, which is just because you are a teacher, right? Just because you are on this path of healing and teaching and trying to live in the highest frequency possible, there's still times where you run across those roadblocks. There's still sometimes where people really get under your skin. There's still sometimes where you really want to cuss people out. And so how do you balance your humanity with your spirituality?
Well, I mean, it's actually there are no coincidences, are there, Candice? But it's actually so interesting that this has come up right now, because yesterday I had a complete emotional meltdown. I mentioned earlier on, I was raped when I was 29, and it was by one of my best guy friends. And it was the day after I had gotten my divorce papers, and he was my ex-husband's best friend as well. And I never dealt with it. Because it happened, and I told two people that it happened, and then my ex-husband came over, like two friends, and then my ex-husband, well, one friend, she told her husband, and then my ex-husband came over, and it was summer, and I put long sleeves on to cover myself because I was bruised everywhere, and I had cuts in my arms because I'd been wearing my bangles, and when he was holding me down, they'd actually cut my arms. and I was helping him get some of his stuff out the house. And he was like, "Why are you dressed like that?" And I said, "I don't know. I think I'm getting flu or something." And then he saw my sleeve fall and he saw my arm and he literally pulled all my clothes off me. And he was like, "What the hell happened?" And I had to tell him. And I felt so ashamed. I felt so ashamed. And I didn't know what to do. So I just shut it away. And I didn't deal with it, Candice, until literally 3 years ago, when it popped up for a brief moment, and I again shoved it away. And then now I'm finally now like dealing with it. And it's like I was speaking about earlier on, it's this niggling, we all know it, this niggling thing, you know, below the surface that says you need to free me because I'm festering under here. But you know how painful it is, and you're frightened of what that will look like, you know, when you free it. And I get this, guys. I want you to know that I get this. When I let myself feel is when I got sick. That's when I almost died. I know, I get it. And so there's a part of me that's been like so scared of allowing myself to feel all this anger. And I actually posted on because I did yesterday, I just let myself feel all the anger, feel all the frustration, feel all the hurt. And I just sobbed, and I sobbed so hard that I coughed and I couldn't breathe. And I shared it with everyone because I was just like, I want you to know that I know, and I'm there, and I get it. And we can feel this. We can do these hard things of feeling this so that it can release. And I can still know that it will pass and I will be happy. And I am a good person. And I am worthy of loving and being heard and living a life that I love and that I deserve. But I feel this and I get it, because the only way to release an emotion is through it. The only way to get rid of that pain of whatever happened to you is to allow yourself to feel it and release it. And the reality is that some things that happen are so huge that it really is going to take you practicing and getting there in small steps. And then there'll probably be quite a flood like I had yesterday. But it does get easier, because I know that the next time I visit it, because I've now done this a number of times before, it's going to get easier and easier and easier until it's released. But there's no way to get rid of anything until you go through it. And the reality is that this is life. This is life, guys. We've got it. It's this incredible gift that sometimes feels like a curse. And I get it, but it's beautiful as well. And we're living it. So allow yourself, because that expansion that comes with that, me going through that, the flood of messages I've received from women going, I know that pain. Thank you for being brave enough to speak it, because I know it. And now they know they're not alone. You're not alone. Whoever you are watching this, you're not alone. I get it. And none of us are perfect. I'm far from perfect. Recovering perfectionist, remember? Like absolute recovering perfectionist. But I am doing the best I can, and I'm showing up. That's the only thing that's required of you. Show up and do the best you can.
Oh, you know, firstly, Susana, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for sharing that with our audience. I want to thank you for your bravery. And I want to thank you for being willing to do the work, because as you heal yourself, you heal those around you and you heal the collective. And there's this beautiful book that's called The Body Holds the Score. and basically discusses that very thing that you're discussing, which is no matter how much we can consciously want to suppress, push, forgive up here, but not physically, the body will always remember, and the body will always bring it to the forefront, as you use your splinter example, until we address it, we fix it, and we move through it. And I know that especially in the country we live in, your story is something that so many women need. So many women are going to get courage through, and you are going to give a voice to so many people out there who are thinking to themselves, if Susana Kennedy can do it, so can I. So on behalf of all of those women, before we move forward in our interview, I just want to say thank you.
It's a pleasure. I do want to add that, Candice, when we are ready, that is when we heal. And we should be gentle with ourselves, especially when it comes to abuse. I only remembered, your brain will only remember what you are ready to heal. It will tuck away everything that you are not, as a spirit, ready to heal. So be gentle with yourself. There's a lot of things about my abuse as a child that I still don't remember. And it's obviously I'm not ready to heal that aspect of my journey. But when the things do come up, handle yourself with the utmost compassion and care and gentleness, because self-blame is just such an awful, awful thing. And we've been taught as a society to blame the victim instead of looking at the situation. And so I just want to, every single person, because it's not just women, I know men that have been sexually abused and raped and these things as well. And I know so many people in between that this has happened to as well. And I just want to say that whoever you are, be gentle, hold yourself with compassion and care, and remember that you are valid. You are valid, and it happened to you, not because of you. So please, and support your friends. Candice, that is such a big thing as well. We've been brought up in a culture that kind of goes, oh no, that didn't happen, because we don't want to deal with it, right? So friends will go, family will go. I mean, I know mothers who have told their daughters, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I know these women. Well, she's passed away now. I knew a woman who did this, and I've heard other women say the same thing to me. Like, believe your friends, believe your family members, hold them, support them, love them, stand up for them. It's the only way this is going to change.
Wow. Thank you, Susana. That was just, yeah, I think there are no words for it. So thank you for sharing that. And we're coming to the end of our interview, and I've got two final questions for you. Being the Susana Kennedy you are today, how do you define success? Like, what's real success to you?
Real success to me is being authentically true to myself. That is real success to me. Like, it's not about anything else really. Like my year this year, and it has been for a long time, but I think this year is really about, if I can authentically be present and true to myself, like really true to myself this year, with healthy boundaries and love and compassion and care for me as well as others, that will be success for me this year. I think creating a life you love and you in it, loving you in the life that you create, that for me is success. Like, everybody's got different versions. For me, if you love yourself in the life that you live and you love that life, that for me, that is success.
Oh, I love that answer. And finally, what is something about Susana Kennedy that we will not find on Google?
Oh my gosh. See, I'm quite open. I speak about pretty much everything. But I can't drink white wine. So I'm not a big drinker. I'm not good at drinking. I'm very sensitive to anything that is even slightly mind altering. So I do enjoy a cheeky glass of bubbly, and I've been known to become like the tequila queen from time to time. But I'm not a big drinker actually at all. Like those are like once in the wild kind of things. I used to enjoy red wine, but I cannot drink white wine. I cannot do it. It makes me cry. And I literally, it makes me cry. So if I have a glass of white wine, I'll literally just get teary, and it's just not good for you. It's not good for me. It's not good for anyone. So I do not drink white wine.
Oh.
I don't know why that came into my head, but I think because I'm so honest about like everything, in my life, like when it comes to the challenges I've been through, when it comes to the real learnings that I've experienced. So I suppose that's something that nobody really knows about me unless you know me really well personally.
I guess myself and thousands of other people now know you very, very well. Susana, it has been an honor and a privilege to spend this time with you. Thank you so much for being on the Real Success Show.
Thank you so much, Candice, for all the work that you do and for the amazing human that you are. You really are such a light, and I always enjoy our interactions, and I wish you all the best for 2022.
Thank you, Susana. Thank you. That was such an inspiring and impactful episode. If you have missed out on any of our episodes up till this moment, make sure that you go into our playlist and you check them out. As usual, it has been an honor to serve you, and I look forward to doing it again next week.